Crush.
Welcome everyone, it's Evielyn here. If you don't know me, I'm the head of digital brand here at Com Marketing, and so I do a lot of, I help around the place with a lot of our content, everything you see online, our website. I do a lot of teaching in our courses and our programs. And so today I wanted to talk about 90-day goals. So let me ask you a question, if you're on the live right now, is how are you going with those goals that you set at the beginning of the year? Because you know what happened to me? On Saturday, I woke up and I realized it is now the 6th month of the year. Like, how did that happen? And I was thinking to myself, oh, we're almost halfway through the year. What have I accomplished and what am I yet to accomplish? Because I know it's easy at the beginning of the year. You've got a lot of motivation and we're all like, yeah, you know, I want to do this and I want to do that. And then it gets to June and it's winter and it's cold outside and all of that. And we're like, I don't know. I haven't really started on those goals, or I haven't done too much. So today I want to give you a bit of a framework for how to crush some goals in the next 90 days. Hey guys, hi Phil, I can see you're online. Hi Adrian, hi Ashley, good to see you all. I'm talking all about 90-day goals. So I hope you're ready to crush some goals and to take some action on some goals. So let me talk about 90 days. Why we here at Com and with all of our ninjas and in all of our ninja programs, we talk about 90-day planning. So yes, we start the year and we have goals and we kind of know what we want to accomplish over 12 months, but often, I don't know about you, but I can't remember really what I did 2 weeks ago compared to what I planned to do 6 months ago, okay? So when you're kind of coming into that kind of 12-month period and it's January and you're excited and there's motivation and all of that kind of thing, 12 months is a long time. Like, I don't know what I'm going to be doing in December when I'm in January. So the reason why we like 90 days is because 90 days is a really good amount of time to actually focus and kind of be realistic about what you can actually get done. Hi Karen, good to see you on the line today. On the line, that sounded weird, but good to see you on the live. So in 90 days, you can actually like really picture what you might be able to accomplish compared to 12 months. 12 months is 365 days. That's a lot of things to kind of take into consideration. Things might happen, that kind of thing. So 90 days is a really good amount of time to know, okay, I can actually get this amount of stuff done. Okay, so it's also enough time to see progress happen on things and not to kind of get bored. I am the kind of person who always needs kind of new things to be working on. And so when you say to me, okay, you've got this goal to accomplish in 12 months, I'm kind of like, oh, okay, like by month 4, I'm like, I'm gone. So 90 days is a great amount of time to really focus and do some focused work and not get kind of bored and actually see some progress in that. Well, the other thing about it is that when you stretch something out over 12 months, it's like you kind of like stretching that progress out. Whereas when you say, okay, I'm going to get this done in 90 days, you're compressing the time in. There's no time to procrastinate. There's no time to say, oh, I think I'll leave that till tomorrow. It's like 90 days, you've got to get in and get that done. So that's really why we really focus on this whole 90-day planning. And so when you're in our Ninja Live program, we always at the beginning of each quarter, do an hour, 90 minutes of this 90-day planning. And actually yesterday I was on an accountability call with one of our ninjas, and she had her little 2-week sprint, which I'll talk about later, her little, sheet that she uses. And so she's just ticking things off. Every 2 weeks she's ticking things off. And so she knows that she's going towards her goals, and it keeps her really focused, okay? So I'm going to talk about 3 different components of the 90-day framework today. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the actual 90-day planning. So what you actually need to accomplish in the next 90 days. Then I'm going to talk about 2-week sprints and talk about how 2 weeks is kind of a good amount of length to get kind of a chunk of work done. And then I'm going to talk about daily planning and how to actually action things on a day-to-day basis. Does that sound good? If it does, give me a little thumbs up that you're ready, okay? So first things first, 90 days, how to actually work out what you can do in the next 90 days. So there's 3 things I do in this step, okay? The first thing that I do is actually reflect. So we want to reflect back on what we have done in the last 90 days, or even if you want to reflect back, if you haven't done this before, you can always reflect back onto kind of, this first half of the year, okay? These first 5 months that we've got through, and I ask myself 3 specific questions, okay? The first one is, what amazing things did I achieve? And really what I'm trying to get across to myself is that we actually achieve so much every single day, and sometimes we actually don't realize how much we achieved. So we did this at the beginning of the year, sat down with our team, and we actually wrote down all the stuff that we did in 2018 and surprised ourselves at actually how much we accomplished, because we kind of got to the end thinking, oh yeah, it was okay. And so sometimes you can get into that thinking, and what you want to do is when you start to plan for your next 90 days, you want to be in a really good frame of mind. So that's why reflecting back and looking at everything that you've accomplished makes you actually kind of level up a bit, and it puts you in a really good frame of mind so that then you can start planning for that next 90 days, okay? So that's the first thing I ask myself, what amazing things did I achieve? And I just list them all down, everything. And it could be something tiny, or it could be something really big, okay? And if you already have a 90-day plan from last quarter, then you can look back and you can kind of see, oh yeah, I did this and this and this. Okay, so the next thing I look at, or I ask myself, is what went particularly well, okay? What was I happy with? Well, did I plan my days out? Did I accomplish a big project? What went really, really well for me? And then the last one is, what do I want to celebrate? And so I want to make sure that, I'm in a good frame of mind. I do, after I plan my days, so not during this 90-day thing, but there is another time when I ask myself, okay, what went wrong? What can I fix up? All of that kind of thing. But what I'm trying to do here is get into a really great frame of mind to be able to plan the next 90 days, okay? So it's not like I'm just saying nothing went wrong or anything like that. So it's always, we're just trying to kind of, raise our mindset a bit. So that's the first thing I do. Reflect back on the last 90 days or the last period that you've planned for. Okay, so this next step number 2. Okay, so step number 1 is reflect. Step number 2 is set some wild goals. Okay, so this is the part where you can go crazy. And what I know about business owners and entrepreneurs and all of you people out there, all of our ninjas, everyone in the Crush group, is you are able to set some really wild goals, guys, and I love it. I love hearing about them. So I kind of ask myself a lot of different things, right? So I'll ask myself things like, what opportunities are coming up and how can I capitalize on them? So, is there something that has come up that you might be able to do? Maybe it's a speaking opportunity. Maybe it's a workshop that you can do. Maybe it's a partnership. So, opportunities that are kind of around you that you can go, okay, I think I want to, take that up in the next 90 days and work on that. Okay, so that's number 1. Then what I do is I have all of the areas of responsibility. So in my job, I have a lot of different areas of responsibility that I do, and I want to look at each of those and see, is there something that I need to accomplish in that next 90 days? For a business owner, a lot of the time, everything is your area of responsibility, okay? So you might have your areas of responsibility like marketing, sales, operations, partnerships, all of that kind of thing. So you might list a whole lot of different things that are parts of your business. Maybe accounting is part of your business. Maybe it's cash flow. So there's a whole lot of different things that you're responsible for. And so I usually kind of go through those in my mind and think, okay, what are the things that I want to work on to really raise the bar in each of those areas. Then I just do a general brain dump, okay? So everything that is in my brain, if I had no limitations, nothing, what would I want to accomplish in the next 90 days? What do I want my business to look like in the next 90 days? That kind of thing. And so you often end up with a lot of different ideas. Now, in my office, I have these huge Post-it notes that stick to the wall, and so I can just write all over them, and it's a great thing. If you're not into that, you might want to use, you know, like just an A4 sheet, whatever works for you. But it's not like you know, there's no template for it. It's just a few quick questions, and I want to list out, you know, some of the projects that I want to accomplish in that 90 days. Okay, so now you've got, we've reflected on the past 90 days. Then we've set some really wild goals. We've got all of this stuff happening. The third step is really we want to prioritize and break down. So from everything that you could possibly do, you want to kind of prioritize what are the things that you really absolutely need to get done. So some things, you know, and I often want to work on the things that I like to do. So for me, I love to work on content and that kind of thing, but that's not sometimes the stuff that needs to get done. So I might need to do a cost breakdown, or I might need to do that. It's like, I don't want, that's not my thing that I want to do every day, but that's the most important thing now for us to move forward on goals, okay? So that's really important. So you want to make sure that you take all of those goals and you know, pick the few that you can accomplish in the next 90 days. Often we kind of aim very high. And we say, I can do all of this in the next 90 days. I've definitely done that. The first time I did 90-day planning, we had like over 100 projects, and we thought that was totally realistic, and it really was not. So you want to make sure that you're being really realistic about it. So what I do is I'm realistic about what I can actually get done. The second thing I do is I actually break it down into months. So what can I do in month 1? What can I do in month 2? What can I do in month 3? Now, the great thing to think about here is also what else do you have on? Because while we want to accomplish all these goals and grow our businesses and all of that kind of thing, we also have day-to-day responsibilities. We might be going for a 6-week holiday, or we might be doing this, or we might be doing that. So you want to make sure that you've seen everything that you're doing in that 3 months, and you're slotting things in that way. And then what I do after I break it down and say, okay, I think I can accomplish these 3 things in month 1 or these things in month 2, then I go and I take each of those things as a project, okay? So I might have 6 projects, major projects that I'm working on in those 3 months. And I'll break each of those down, okay? So I'll break them down into actions, because oftentimes what I do, and I've done this, I see other people doing this, is, you know, they've got a project on their to-do list, and I'll talk a bit about to-do lists a bit later, but they have this project that they just keep moving on their to-do list, or it never kind of gets kind of moved, because it's actually a project, not a to-do. So I'll talk a bit about that when I talk about daily planning, but that's really how we do the 90-day system. So at the beginning of the 90 days, you reflect on the last 90 days, you set some wild goals, and then you prioritize and you break down, okay? And break things down into really like actionable things. So if your 90-day goal is to create a marketing plan, for instance, maybe your first action step is to email com and ask for a marketing plan template. That's a really actionable thing that you can do, rather than just having marketing plan on your to-do list every day for 3 months. Okay, so that's it. So that's the 90 days. once you've done 90 days, what we do here is we actually have then what we call 2-week sprints. And so in the 90 days, you'll have 6 of these 2-week sprints. And the reason we do this is because 2 weeks is a reasonable amount of time to get a really good chunk of work done. So a week is okay, but it's kind of annoying having to do this planning every single week. So having a 2-week sprint where you can say, okay, in this next 2 weeks, I'm going to do, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so what we do is all of the projects that were in the 90 days, we've got all of those listed, and we've got action points under each. So really all we're doing is saying, okay, and we have a sheet. So we have a 2-week sprint sheet and a daily sheet. So what I'll do is after the live, I'll post the links to these sheets that you can download. They're just a PDF. You can just print them off and fill them in. So basically the 2-week sprint looks like 6 projects. We list 6 of the projects and each of the actions that we're going to do in the next 2 weeks for each of those projects. And so what you can see is straight away off the bat, so in the next 2 weeks, right? If you do this planning today or sometime this week or on the weekend, then in the next 2 weeks, you've actually got action steps, manageable action steps that you're working towards to crush your goals. This isn't like, okay, these are all my goals. I'm just, gonna get there somehow. It's not like that. It's like hit the ground running. In the next 2 weeks, you're gonna have a heap of actions complete. Okay? If that sounds good, give me a smiley face. Okay? Smiley face this time, not a thumbs up. So that's what you need to do. So basically, the 2-week sprint sheet is listing your 6 projects and then the actions that you're going to do in those 2 weeks. That's all the 2-week sprint is. And you be specific about this, okay? You need to list who needs to get it done, what needs to get done, when it needs to get done by, or where you need to be, okay? So if you need to get it done or you're waiting on somebody or that kind of thing, so make sure you're really specific about the action steps that you're going to take. So that is the 2-week sprint, okay? So you're going to do one 90-day planning, and that might take you 90 minutes, 2 hours, that kind of thing, depending on kind of, what you've got going on, okay? Oh, look, nice, all the nice smiley faces. Thanks, guys. So you're going to do your 90-day planning, and then you're going to do your 2-week sprint, and every 2 weeks you're going to tick those things off, and then if you didn't get to accomplish everything, put that onto the next 2-week sprint and write your more actions on that. All right. So then we come down to the daily plan. Now, the daily plan is actually my favorite. I am a stickler for planning each of my days. If I don't plan my days, then I get railroaded very easily. Okay, and so the thing is, once you've got your 90-day goals, guys, if you kind of miss a step, so if you miss one of those 2 weeks, that's like 2 weeks where you're just kind of like, yeah, meandering along, not really with a plan. If you miss a day of planning, it's like, like you're always trying to catch up. So that's why I'm really big on planning my day. I actually try every afternoon to plan for the next day, because otherwise I'm getting in the morning, I'm not quite ready. But like if you take 15 minutes in the afternoon or even at night, kind of after you got back from training or something like that, just to plan your day ahead, then that way as soon as you wake up, you know what's going on. You're not kind of scrambling and wondering, I don't know, that kind of thing. So let's talk about the daily plan. We have a sheet for this. If you're in our Ninja program, you've probably seen the daily planning sheet, but I'll put this in the comments as well after. You can download it, you can use it, you can fill it in. Sorry. Okay, so the first thing I do is I list the big 3. All right, so these are the big 3 things that I need to accomplish today. Now, when I'm talking about my big three, like a lot of people ask me, what, so you can only get 3 things, happening today? And in essence, like I'm talking like these are big things. So I'm talking like a chunk. These are things that are going to take you maybe between like 60 to 90 minutes. Like if you're, I really call these kind of deep work things. So these are things that I'm going to really need to focus, maybe shut myself away, maybe not be on emails or Facebook or get notifications or anything like that. So these are like the big things that you're going to need to think about. So for me, a lot of the time this is like writing content because I need some like really like thinking time to do that. It might be writing a plan for something. Whatever it is, it's like a, it's going to be like a focus time. So really you can't do more than 3 of those things in a day. If you break up your day and you're spending 90 minutes on 3 big things in your day, that's kind of your whole day gone. Okay, so this is why I always say 3 big things, all right? Then what I do is I schedule these in, okay? Because if I don't schedule, somebody will schedule something over it, and then I don't get to have kind of this time. So I try and like break it up. So I might do like a 60 to 90 minute session in the morning from like 8 till 9:30. Then I'll go and do some kind of like other little things that are on my list. Then I might do like a 10 till 12:30, and then I'll do something in the afternoon, maybe like a 1 till 3:30, that kind of thing. So it's broken up during the day, but in between those like big, deep work schedules, we've got then other things that need to happen. Okay, there's always other things that are going to need to happen. I have a million things on my list. I know you guys as business owners would have a million things on your list. And so what I try to do with the other things is I try to batch similar tasks together. Okay, so if I have a whole heap of emails I need to write, for instance, I try and do all those at one time. If I've got a heap of calls that I need to make, I'll try and do all of that at the same time. So that I'm in that mind frame. I'm like, okay, I'm in phone call mind frame. So I can, make a lot of phone calls at that time rather than just like random doing it here and then there. It's like I try and batch a whole lot of things together, those kind of smaller tasks. The other thing that I like to do, and this is huge, is leave buffer time. So this is super important because I'm the kind of person who I don't like my day to be disrupted. Okay, so I really, really don't like it when plans don't go to plan. Or when, there's something urgent that came and then now I'm going to have to move something that I wanted to do and all that kind of stuff. So if you're like that, then you need some buffer time in your day. This is the best thing that I've ever done. So I try and leave kind of some buffer time, maybe an hour, of like, I'm not going to get, stuff done in that time. But if somebody comes to me with something urgent or, in our office, I often get a lot of questions. And so people want to come and ask me questions, and I used to get really annoyed because I'm like, I don't have time for this. But when you have buffer time, you actually become a much nicer person because people can interrupt you and you can be like, yeah, sure, I can show you how to do that, or I can show you how to do this, that kind of thing. So having buffer time just means that you've got a bit of extra time to relax if something goes over, if you're just really in the zone and you want to get something done, you've got that extra time, okay? It just gives you a little bit of breathing space. It's great if you're running from meeting to meeting because you've got things like traffic, you've got all sorts of things. So buffer is the best time that I've created in my day to be able to really kind of still stick to my plan. And look, not every day it happens, but it also allows me to still kind of be a bit flexible and people feel like that they can come and talk to me or that kind of thing. So that's really important. I talked a bit before about planning the night before. So make sure that you've got a plan when you walk into your day. Because otherwise it's like you're spending the first kind of half an hour just kind of getting ready, you're like shuffling your to-do list around, you're like, oh, I didn't know where that was, that kind of thing. So that's really important. Just make sure you've got a clear plan, just a list of everything you're doing that day. Maybe it's in your calendar, maybe you're keeping it just in a list. I use Trello, I love it, and everything's just in a list, and I can just go tick, 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 you know, and it's all done. So that's what I do. The other thing is that I don't use to-do lists. Okay, so this is my big thing, and I learned this years and years ago. I read a book by David Allen called Getting Things Done. Best book I've ever read on productivity and that kind of thing. It's fantastic, and a lot of the stuff that I do now and the ways that I accomplish things and get things done comes back to that system of getting things done. But he talks about not using to-do lists, okay? Because a typical to-do list, right, and I kind of mentioned this before, is something like marketing plan. Okay, it's like on my to-do list. It's like, you know, and you know how you have those to-do lists at home, and you're like, they never seem to get done, and so you want to make sure, like, what I find with a to-do list is it's not action oriented. So it's always just got like just random things on it, like marketing plan. That's not helpful to anyone. So what I have instead is action lists, and that very simple change of word from to do to action makes me think like, okay, this is like my action list. It's about movement, it's about taking action, all of that kind of thing, and it just changed my whole perspective on it. And so every time I write something on my action list, it has to be an action, okay? So when we're talking about something like marketing plan is not an action. It's just a thing that's sitting there. But actually breaking that down into email Ev for a marketing plan template, that's an action. And that's actually super easy. When I look at that on my list, I'm like, oh, great, I know exactly what I need to do in that situation. But marketing plans, like, oh, that's daunting. Like, and that then gets, you know, like left off, and I don't want to do that anymore. And it's probably now been sitting on my to-do list for the last 3 months because you're not quite sure where to start. So I never have to-do lists anymore. I always have an action list, and everything on that list has to be an action. Okay, so you need to start it with email, call, design, like, you know, whatever it is, it's got to be an action word to start that action list, okay? If you just do that, you'll get so much more done in your day. That is action list. The other thing that I do is, and I don't know where I read this, but I did read it somewhere, is that so say you're gearing up for a task. Like, a lot of the times we kind of like sit and look at our list and we're like, yeah, no, I don't think I want to do that, or that seems too hard, or I don't really know where to find that. So a lot of the times we'll just be like, no, I'm going to pass that one by. So when I have, like, say you do have to create a marketing plan, for instance, and you've got a template, you're ready to go. What I try and do is actually set myself up for being able to get this task done. So when it's on my actions, I am like, create marketing plan. And so I'll actually have a link to that marketing plan in that to-do. So all I have to do is actually click on that link and I'm ready to go, rather than I get there and I'm like, okay, I've got to create a marketing plan. So then I'm like trying to find it, and then I'm like trying to, okay, yeah, I didn't really remember that. So, you know, you want to make sure that every task, Ashley just said, yes, her marketing plan has never been finished. I know, right? Neither is mine, because it just sits there as marketing plan. So you need to make everything an action. But then set yourself up to be able to get those actions done. Whatever you need to get that action done, do it. It's the same as, you know, when you're saying to your clients, if they've got a 6 a.m. class, they need to set themselves up at night to get that done in the morning. So if I need to do a workout in the morning and it's a 6 a.m., I know I have to leave home at 5:30. I know that if I don't pack my bag, I'm not doing that workout. So I want to make sure that I set myself up to get the action done. And it's the same when we're getting our 90-day goals done, okay? You need to make sure that every day, your 90-day goals, your 2-week sprints, the things on your action list, that you are setting yourself up. That's why when we do the 90-day planning, and we've got all of our projects, we write all of the actions down. That's why in the 2-week sprint, we've got all of our projects listed and we've got all of our actions underneath. That's why when you've got, when you go into your day and you're listing all of your actions, that you actually need to, what exactly do I need to get this action done? And you might, you might put it there. I use Trello, and so I can just insert little links, or it might be a Google Drive doc that I need to fill in or something like that, okay? So that is the 90-day planning framework. And so I really hope that, if you've just sat there on your 12-month goals, like the goals that you set in January, and you haven't got anything done, that this week you turn that around, you make a change, and you say, okay, I've got 90 days. I'm going to do my 90-day planning. I'm going to get my 2-week sprints done. I'm going to do my daily planning. And you actually move forward on your goals, because you can actually achieve so much in such a small amount of time in those 90 days. It is amazing. Now, if you have any questions about this, let me know. Put them in the comments. Ashley says, great idea. I'm so glad that you have that. If you've got, maybe you use something else, maybe you have a cool tip on how to get things done every day, put them in the comments. This is such a great, this has really changed. I think we've been running 90 days now for maybe 2 years, maybe 2.5 years here. And it has changed the amount of things and the way we move here at COM. And I know for a lot of our ninjas, it's been instrumental in actually seeing things move forward, because there's nothing worse than setting that goal at the beginning of the year and then in December being like, oh, I kind of forgot about that. It's like 90 days, it's like this amazing amount of time that is just ripe to get something done and to really move forward and to take massive action. I know Tony Robbins talks about, this concept of taking massive action. And this is what it's about. It's like compress those goals that you think that you can do in 12 months. Obviously, we have to be realistic, but take what you think that you can accomplish in 12 months and put that into 90 days, or chunk it into 90 days. Maybe there's a goal that you have that is 12 months long. Maybe you can actually chunk that. Okay, for the next 90 days, I'm going to do this part of that goal, or I'm going to do this next part, that kind of thing. And let me know. So guys, I'm going to wrap it up there unless anyone has any questions for me. If you're watching a replay, you can feel free to put some questions in. When I finish the live, I'm going to just put the links to where you can download those 2-week sprints and also that 90-day planning, and get going on your goals and take that action. All right, so guys, we've got some good things coming up for Crush Wednesday. Richard will be back next week, and we're going to just do a heap of interviews with some interesting people. Last week, you guys loved Paul Timms, so we've got some great guests who are coming on, and we just really, we do these Crush Wednesdays every week, 9:29. We might be changing the times around just to accommodate some of our guests, but make sure that you jump on. We really do these to give great value, to really build this community, that kind of thing. So if you think that somebody might benefit from today's live or any one of the lives, make sure you tag them in and be sure to kind of, let them know that this is a great live to watch, even if they're watching it on replay. And so we will catch you again next week, same time, 9:29. See you guys.
Crush